New Year's Eve is supposed to be loud. Fireworks, music, people yelling Happy New Year like the world actually resets at midnight. But this story didn't happen at a party. It happened in a quiet apartment complex just outside Denver, Colorado, and it's the reason I never stay home alone on New Year's Eve anymore. This was 3 years ago, December 31st. My roommates had gone downtown for a big rooftop party. Packed bars, overpriced drinks, the whole vibe. I stayed back. Someone had to work the next morning, and honestly, I wasn't feeling the chaos. Around 10:45 p.m., the building was dead quiet. No music, no footsteps, just the low hum of traffic from the highway and the occasional firework popping somewhere far off. I was on the couch, scrolling my phone, half watching the countdown coverage on TV, when my phone buzzed. Unknown number. The text said, "You're not going out tonight?" I frowned. I hadn't told anyone I was staying home. I typed back, "Who is this?" 3 dots appeared instantly. Then the reply came, "Doesn't matter. Just didn't want you to be alone when the year ends." My stomach dropped, because right then, I heard a knock at my door. I didn't reply to the text. I just sat there, staring at my phone, trying to convince myself it was nothing. Maybe a wrong number. Maybe one of my roommates messing around. Then my phone buzzed again. Same number. Lights are still on. My heart skipped. I hadn't told anyone I was home. And no one should have known my lights were on, unless they could see them. I muted the TV and listened. The apartment was dead silent. No footsteps outside, no music from neighbors, just the faint echo of fireworks popping somewhere downtown. I slowly stood up and walked toward the door, every step feeling heavier than the last. I checked the deadbolt. Locked. Chain was on, too. My phone buzzed again. You always double-check the lock. That's when my chest tightened, because that wasn't a habit I talked about. That was just something I did. Another text came through. "I'm not here to hurt you." I didn't feel better. I felt worse, because whoever this was knew me, and I had no idea who they were. I didn't open the door. I stood there in the living room, staring at it, heart thumping way louder than it should have been. Another knock followed. Same rhythm. Slow. Intentional. My phone buzzed again. Unknown number. Relax. I'm not a creep. Yeah, that's exactly what a creep would say. I typed back, "If you're at my door, leave, right now." The reply came instantly. "Can't. You already saw me." My throat went dry. I hadn't looked through the peephole. I hadn't checked the window. I hadn't seen anyone. I backed away from the door and grabbed the biggest kitchen knife I owned. My phone buzzed again. "You left the blinds open." I slowly turned my head toward the living room window. The blinds were halfway up. Outside, the parking lot lights cast long shadows across the snow, and near my car, I saw a figure standing perfectly still, hood up, hands in pockets, just watching my apartment. The knock came again, louder this time. "Come on," a man's voice said through the door. "It's New Year's. Don't be like that." My phone buzzed one more time. Midnight's coming. I backed away from the window and killed the living room lights. The apartment went dark, except for the glow from my phone screen. Another firework cracked somewhere in the distance. 11:52 p.m. My phone buzzed again. Smart move. My hands were shaking now. I typed back, "I'm calling the cops." 3 dots appeared, then stopped. Then the reply came, "Go ahead. They won't make it before midnight. I stared at the screen. The door handle moved, just slightly, like someone testing it. My heart slammed against my ribs. I crept closer, holding my breath, and heard him whisper through the door. I just want to start the new year together. My phone buzzed again. You should really stop hiding. I checked the time. 11:56 p.m. 4 minutes left. Outside, the fireworks were getting louder, closer, like the whole city was counting down, while I was trapped inside my own apartment. The handle twisted harder this time, and then I heard something that made my blood run cold. The soft click of metal sliding against metal. He was picking the lock. I backed away from the window and killed the living room lights. The apartment went dark, except for the glow from my phone screen. Another firework cracked somewhere in the distance. 11:52 p.m. My phone buzzed again. Smart move. My hands were shaking now. I typed back, I'm calling the cops. 3 dots appeared, then stopped. Then the reply came. Go ahead. They won't make it before midnight. I stared at the screen. The door handle moved, just slightly, like someone testing it. My heart slammed against my ribs. I crept closer, holding my breath, and heard him whispering through the door. I just want to start the new year together. My phone buzzed again. You should really stop hiding. I checked the time. 11:56 p.m. 4 minutes left. Outside, the fireworks were getting louder, closer, like the whole city was counting down, while I was trapped inside my own apartment. The handle twisted harder this time, and then I heard something that made my blood run cold. The soft click of metal sliding against metal. He was picking the lock. 5! My brain short-circuited. The voice on the phone matched the voice at the door perfectly. Same tone, same calm. 4! I did the only thing I could think of. I screamed. Not a horror movie scream, a full-on, lungs-burning scream. 3! I slammed the knife against the door frame as hard as I could. Wood cracked. The shadow jumped back. 2! I kicked the door shut and threw the deadbolt back into place. The lock jammed, half broken, but holding. 1! Fireworks detonated outside like a war zone. The TV shouted, "Happy New Year!" And in that chaos, he ran. I heard his footsteps retreat down the hall, disappearing under the explosions and cheering outside. I slid down against the wall, trying to breathe. 10 minutes later, police lights painted the hallway red and blue. They searched the building, found nothing. No suspect, no fingerprints. Just one thing. Scratched into the wood of my door frame, right where my knife had hit, were 4 words. See you next year. I didn't stay in that apartment. I moved out a week later, and every New Year's Eve since, I make sure I'm not alone when the clock hits midnight. I used to think New Year's Eve was the safest night of the year. Too many people awake, too many cops out, too much noise for anything bad to happen. I was wrong. This happened last year, just outside Phoenix, Arizona. My job sucked. Night shifts at a warehouse, long hours, barely any days off. On December 31st, my boss finally let me leave early. I clocked out at 11:20 p.m. The parking lot was almost empty. Most people had already dipped to go drink, party, or kiss someone at midnight. I was just tired. I got in my car, started the engine, and checked my phone. That's when I noticed something weird. My car wasn't the only one still running. 2 rows over, an old black SUV sat there with its headlights on, engine running, no one inside. I remember thinking, that's sketchy as hell. I put the car in reverse anyway, and that's when the SUV's headlights shut off, all at once, like someone had been waiting for me to move. I pulled out of the parking spot and headed toward the exit. The black SUV didn't move, not at first. I told myself I was being paranoid. It was New Year's Eve. Everyone was tired. Everyone was jumpy. I turned onto the main road and checked my rearview mirror. Empty. I exhaled, turned up the radio, and tried to relax. Then, at the first red light, headlights appeared behind me. 2 bright beams, high off the ground. An SUV. Same height, same shape. The light turned green. I went. So did they. I took a random right turn I never usually take. The SUV followed. My stomach sank. I took another turn, then another. Still there. I could feel my heartbeat in my ears. I told myself, don't freak out. Don't do anything stupid. But then my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Nice car. My hands tightened on the steering wheel because I hadn't told anyone what kind of car I drove. I checked the mirror again. The SUV's headlights blinked once, like a signal. I didn't text back. I tossed my phone onto the passenger seat and focused on the road. The streets were dead. Most people were already home or downtown. Fireworks popped faintly in the distance, echoing off empty buildings. I hit a long stretch of road that cut through a patch of desert. No houses, no businesses, just dirt and scrub on both sides. That's when the SUV sped up. It pulled right up on my bumper, headlights flooding my mirrors. I tapped my brakes lightly, trying to get them to back off. They didn't. Instead, they swerved into the opposite lane, past me, and then slammed on their brakes. I barely stopped in time. My car skidded. Dust kicked up around us. The SUV sat sideways across the road, blocking both lanes. My heart was pounding so hard I thought it might burst. The driver's door of the SUV opened. A man stepped out. Tall, broad shoulders, hoodie pulled tight around his face. He raised one hand, palm out, like he was calming a scared animal. "Hey," he called. His voice was casual, way too casual. "Relax, it's New Year's." I locked my doors automatically. He laughed. "You don't want to sit out here alone when the year changes," he said, walking closer. My phone buzzed again. Same number. Midnight's almost here. I checked the clock on the dash. 11:57 p.m. I shook my head. "I'm good," I said through the closed window. My voice sounded smaller than I wanted. The man smiled. Not friendly, more like he was amused. "Come on," he said. "Just don't want to spend New Year's by yourself?" He reached for my door handle. It didn't open. His smile faded. That's when I saw movement near the SUV. Another door opened. A second person stepped out. Shorter, thinner, face hidden under a beanie. They didn't say a word. They just walked around to the back of my car. I realized what they were doing right as my brake lights lit up the road behind me. They were positioning themselves, one in front, one behind, trapping me. Fireworks started popping louder now. Somewhere in the distance, people were counting down. 10 minutes earlier, I'd been annoyed I wasn't at a party. Now I was praying someone, anyone, would drive by. The man leaned down, his breath fogging the glass. "You really don't want to be rude," he said. "Bad luck to start the year like that." The second person tapped on my trunk. 3 slow knocks. Knock, knock, knock. My phone buzzed again. 5 minutes. The clock flipped to 11:59. The world went loud all at once. Fireworks exploded across the sky. Distant cheering. Car horns blaring from neighborhoods miles away. Midnight. The man in front of me laughed. Actually laughed. "Happy New Year," he said, stepping back. For half a second, I thought this was some messed up prank. Then the second person smashed something against my rear window. Bang! The glass spiderwebbed instantly. "Ah!" I screamed and slammed the car into reverse, straight into the SUV behind me. Metal crunched. Airbags didn't deploy, but the impact knocked the wind out of me. The guy in front yelled, "Yo, chill!" like I was the problem. The second person came around the side now, holding a crowbar. That's when it clicked. This wasn't random. They picked New Year's Eve on purpose. Fireworks masked the noise. Everyone was distracted. No one was calling the cops over a little smashing when the sky was exploding. The man yanked on my door again. "Out," he said, calm, dead serious. I reached for my phone and froze. Another text popped up. "Don't make this messy." My hands were shaking so bad I could barely unlock the screen. The crowbar tapped my window, soft, patient, like they knew I was running out of options. My brain was screaming at me to do something, anything. I looked left. Desert. I looked right. More desert. No lights, no houses, no witnesses. The guy with the crowbar raised it higher now. "Last chance," the man in front said. His voice was flat, like he'd done this before. I don't know what came over me. Maybe adrenaline, maybe pure fear, but I slammed the gas. Not forward, straight through the SUV. My car lurched as metal scraped metal. Sparks flew. The hood screamed as it bent inward. I felt the tires lose traction for half a second, then suddenly I was past them. I didn't look back. I didn't slow down. I just drove, pedal to the floor. The road blurred as tears filled my eyes. My phone kept buzzing on the seat beside me, over and over. I didn't read the messages. I didn't care. I just kept telling myself, "Don't crash, don't crash, don't crash." After what felt like forever, I saw lights. A gas station, still open. I pulled in sideways, jumped out, and started yelling like a maniac. The clerk ducked behind the counter and called 911 immediately. I finally looked at my phone. One last message. Next year, don't drive alone. The cops showed up fast. 2 cruisers, lights flashing red and blue across the pumps. I tried explaining everything, but my words came out jumbled. The parking lot, the SUV, the texts, midnight. One officer checked my phone. His expression changed when he read the messages. "You're not the first," he said quietly. That made my stomach drop. Turns out there had been multiple reports over the past few years. Same night, same setup. New Year's Eve. They targeted people leaving work late, people driving alone. By the time police arrived, the SUV was gone. No plates, no fingerprints, just tire marks in the dirt and shattered glass on the road. My car was totaled. Insurance covered it, but that didn't matter. What stuck with me was the timing. They didn't care about the new year. They cared about the noise, the distractions, the fact that nobody pays attention when everyone's celebrating. Now, every December 31st, I stay home. Curtains closed, phone on silent. When the countdown hits 0 and people scream and cheer, I remember that text. Next year, don't drive alone. And I can't help but wonder, how many people didn't make it to the gas station? I never liked New Year's parties. Too loud, too crowded, too many fake smiles and drunk promises. But last year, I didn't really have a choice. I just moved to a small town outside Columbus, Ohio. New job, new apartment, 0 friends. On December 31st, my downstairs neighbor knocked on my door. His name was Mark, mid-30s, normal guy. He'd helped me move in a couch once, so I figured he was cool. "We're doing a little New Year's thing upstairs," he said. "Couple people, nothing crazy." I hesitated. Then he added, "You don't want to be that guy eating takeout alone at midnight." Fair point. I threw on a jacket and followed him upstairs. The apartment was dimly lit. No decorations, no music, just a TV on mute counting down to midnight. 3 other people were there. None of them looked excited. No drinks in their hands, no phones out. They all just stared at me when I walked in. Mark locked the door behind us. Click. I laughed nervously. "So, what's the vibe?" I asked. Nobody answered. One of the women finally smiled and said, "You're right on time." I checked the TV. 11:52 p.m. And suddenly, I got the same feeling you get right before something goes wrong. Mark clapped his hands once. Sharp, loud. "All right," he said, smiling too wide. "Before midnight, we got to go over a few things." I chuckled, trying to keep it light. "House rules?" Nobody laughed. The woman who'd spoken earlier stepped closer to me. "Phones stay off," she said. Another guy added, "No windows." "No opening the door," the third person said quickly, like he didn't want to be interrupted. I blinked. Why?" Mark shrugged. "It messes with the timing." That's when I noticed something else. The curtains were nailed shut. Literally nailed. Small silver nails hammered into the frame. My chest tightened. "Yo, I think I'm gonna bounce," I said. "This is kinda weird." Mark's smile vanished instantly. "You can't," he said, calm, certain. "Not until after midnight." I stepped back toward the door. The woman shook her head. "You don't want to do that," she said softly. "Last year, someone tried." "Tried what?" I asked. The TV volume suddenly turned up. A loud countdown test echoed through the room. 10 minutes left. My phone vibrated in my pocket. I reached for it. Mark grabbed my wrist. Hard. "I said phones off," he whispered. His grip was ice cold. "Relax," he added. "This only works if everyone stays." I asked them straight up, "What is this?" No one answered at first. The guy near the couch finally spoke, eyes locked on the TV. "We're making sure the year changes clean." That didn't help. "Clean how?" I pressed. The woman sighed, like I was being difficult. "Some years don't want to end," she said. "They stick around." Mark nodded. "If you don't close the door properly," he added, "stuff follows you into the next one." I laughed again. It came out wrong. "You're telling me this is some kind of ritual?" The woman met my eyes. "It's not a ritual," she said. "It's maintenance." My skin crawled. She gestured toward the walls. That's when I noticed the marks. Scratches. Old ones. Deep, like something had tried to claw its way out. "Every year," Mark said. "We invite one person who doesn't live here." My stomach dropped. "Why?" Mark smiled again. "Because it won't take someone who belongs." The TV beeped. 5 minutes until midnight. The lights flickered. Just once. Then I heard it. A soft knock, coming from inside the walls. 3 slow taps. Knock, knock, knock. Everyone went quiet. Mark whispered, "It's early this year." The knocking started again. Louder this time. Not on the walls, on the floor, right beneath my feet. Knock, knock. The hardwood trembled like something underneath was testing it. I jumped back. "What the hell is that?" I snapped. Nobody answered me. They were all standing now, forming a loose circle around the living room. Mark grabbed my arm. Not aggressive, firm. "Don't step outside the tape," he said. I looked down. There was tape on the floor. Pale blue painter's tape. I hadn't noticed it before. It formed a rough square, centered exactly where I'd been sitting. "You've got to be kidding me," I muttered. The woman checked her phone. 3 minutes, she said. The knocking turned into scraping, long nails dragging slowly across wood. From below. My chest tightened. "You said this was just a party," I whispered. Mark didn't look at me. "It started that way," he said. The TV suddenly changed channels on its own. Static filled the screen. Then a voice cut through it. Low, broken. "You said I could stay." My blood went ice cold. "Who said that?" I asked. Everyone answered at once. "Last year." The knocking stopped. Complete silence. Then something pressed up from under the floor. Not hard enough to break it, just enough to leave a bulge, like a hand. Mark finally looked at me. His voice cracked. "When the clock hits midnight," he said, "don't scream. Don't move. And whatever you do, don't let it say your name." The TV clock flipped to 11:59. 1 minute. My heart was beating so hard I could hear it in my ears. The scraping came back, but now it wasn't just under the floor. It was in the walls, behind the couch, above the ceiling, like it was circling the room, figuring out where I was. The woman whispered, "Eyes down, don't acknowledge it." The lights dimmed. Not all at once. One bulb at a time, like something was walking through them. Then I heard my voice, clear as day. "Mark?" I hadn't said anything. My mouth was dry. My hands were shaking. The voice came again, this time closer. "Hey, I'm cold." The woman flinched. "It's testing you," she hissed. The floor beneath the tape creaked. The wood bowed upward, like something was pushing from below. I felt heat rise through my shoes, like a fever under the floorboards. The TV started counting out loud. 10. The voice copied my laugh. 9. It said my name wrong, just slightly off. 8. Something wet splashed against the underside of the floor. 7. The knocking came from inside my chest now. I swear to God I felt it breathe. 6. Mark whispered, "Don't answer it. Don't even think loud." 5. The voice screamed, not angry, desperate. 4. The tape on the floor peeled itself up. 3. The woman started crying. 2. The voice said my name. Perfectly. 1. Midnight hit. The TV went black. Every light in the apartment shut off at once. The silence was so sudden, it felt like my ears popped. Then, breathing. Right behind me. Hot. Wet. Too close. Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. I could feel it leaning in, like it was reading me. The woman whispered, "It needs consent." My stomach dropped. "What?" Mark's voice shook. "Just don't respond. If you don't respond, it can't—" It interrupted him, using his voice. "I consent." The floor exploded upward. Wood splintered. Something dragged itself halfway out. Arms too long, joints bending wrong, skin stretched like it didn't fit. The woman screamed. The thing snapped its head toward her and smiled. That's when I realized the truth. It didn't want me. It wanted whoever broke the rules. Mark tried to run. He barely took 2 steps before the thing grabbed him. His feet left the floor. He was pulled down into the hole like he weighed nothing. He didn't even have time to scream. The hole slammed shut. The floor healed. No blood, no mess, just silence. Then the lights came back on. The TV reset itself. The clock read 12:01. The woman wiped her face. "Year's closed," she said. She looked at me. "You're safe now." I was shaking so hard I could barely stand. "Where's Mark?" She didn't answer. She just started cleaning up the broken floorboards. I didn't stay long after that. Nobody tried to stop me. They just let me walk out like nothing had happened. Like Mark had never existed. The hallway outside felt wrong. Too normal. People laughing in other apartments. Someone popping champagne. Fireworks cracking in the distance. I drove home in silence, hands locked tight on the steering wheel. I didn't sleep that night. Or the next. I told myself it was shock. Trauma. My brain trying to cope. But then, a year later, on New Year's Eve, at exactly 11:58 p.m., my lights flickered. Once. My TV turned on by itself. Static. And a voice I hadn't heard since that night whispered from the speakers. "Hey, you coming over this year?" I don't go to parties anymore. I don't celebrate New Year's. And every December 31st, no matter where I live, I sit alone in the dark and keep my mouth shut until 12:01. Because once you know what waits between years, it never forgets your name.